Tower of Hecc is the first tower ever introduced to the game EToH Towers of Hell, consisting of 10 floors with no checkpoints and made by the first creator OpenTune, and how towers went from this in 2018 to this now is astonishing. But what remains the same is the players are still speedrunning this tower for almost 7 years. This is the history of Tower of Hecc speedrunning. So, what was the first Tower of Hell speedrun? You might think we can just go to speedrun.com and find the earliest run the leaderboard has. However, there might be a run before the first run was submitted, and this is all by memory. Let me explain. There's a player named EToH, and they have a channel called JoinMod who has deleted all their videos, but what I can recall from them, having a speedrun on Tower of Impossible Expectations, but for Tower of Hell, I'm not sure. Going through speedrun.com, the earliest run I found from the site was 6 years ago, November 11th, 2018, by a player named Menacey, or in the past called ES_SC. This is how the run went. First, we see that they utilize the use of ladder flicks. Ladder flicks are used to accelerate vertically when climbing up ladders, and use of timing flicks and landing back with a ladder can cause the player to perform climbing sections very quickly. They would perform a skip from floor 2 to 3 instead of taking the intended route, doing both skips on floor 6, a hard skip on floor 7, both a slide skip and outside skip, and ending with an easy floor 10 skip. The first run ended at 5 minutes, 36 seconds and 620 milliseconds, and it wouldn't last for long as 7 days later a new player went for the record. A user named JToH54 was a notable top obvious member. What's interesting is that they have beaten Menacey's time by almost a minute and gotten a sub 5 minute run. So how did he do it? Well, he found a skip that Menacey didn't go for. Go back to floor 6. Instead of doing this whole section here, JToH performed this. A intended skip, saving him more than 10 seconds whilst performing minor skips at the last few floors to reach the time of 4 minutes, 56 seconds and 300 milliseconds. Of course, Menacey wouldn't step down and took the record back with a 4 minute, 53 second and 50 milliseconds. But the next player is somebody new to the scene. December and early 2019, 50 days of rain was gone. A player named Stabby, a decent well-known player at the time for his old EToH/JToH videos, attempted the speedrun and did it in 4 minutes, 50 seconds and 570 milliseconds. But what's different about this run is that his ladder flicks are slow and no skips were used. So how did he do it? Well, it was just optimized properly. Going back to Menacey's run, his last few floors were a bit sloppy, losing time. Stabby was able to take advantage and redeemed himself with it, but this wouldn't last long as more of the top obvious. JToH took his record back, but he wasn't the only one on the move. Just 2 days later, his record got taken again, but from somebody else who is very talented. Can 2005 would touch on the Tower of Hell speedrun. If you somehow don't know this guy, he was considered one of the best obvious in his era. Even JToH agreed. So how did he do it? Well, there's two things he utilizes, long jumps and jumping less. We can do a comparison where two of these players are at similar times. Now look what happens. If you didn't know, jumping takes around 0.54 seconds, so now optimizing his jumps with his efficient movement, the time between them widens. He would be able to pull a time of 4 minutes, 36 seconds and 380 milliseconds. He would step away from speedrunning Tower of Hell and it's JToH to redeem the title once again, as he was focusing on other obbies. Now, with high competition, let's see how long this one will last for. JToH Box's record would stand for 1 year and 3 months, completely dominating the leaderboard in 2019 and the first half of 2020. This record would be broken on 10th of August 2020. A new player took it away. His name is Zyotic, and this wasn't a dominating run at all. The difference between him and JToH is just 950 milliseconds, giving him a time of 4 minutes, 29 seconds and 720 milliseconds, the first to pass the sub 430 mark. However, this run is not perfect. Zyotic even stated that he could have saved more time as he lost around up to 5.1 seconds. And so 2 months later, JToH did it again, pulling a 4 minute, 25 second and 430 millisecond run. But we didn't have to wait long. Trim Zenith is an OG obbyist, as you can tell from his old hard obby videos. They use Bandicam. That's a sign of them being talented at obbies, beating Tower of Glory and the final test, and was popular in the mid-Tower of Hecc community. The problem is that he deleted his channel, and so the footage of these back-to-back world record runs are gone. But we know he had a 6-second gap between the previous record holder. So how did he do it? Well, the next player is about to answer that question. On the 15th of May 2021, Zyotic would show to the world no new major skips, but how the obby community just got better at obbying over these past years. Taking optimized routes and necessary skips, they got the time of 4 minutes, 18 seconds and 250 milliseconds, having an insane run but not a perfect run. In the span of over 3 years, there was 8 world records set, with all of them having a difference of under a second from each of them, with the last run being Q9R with a 4 minutes, 11 second and 660 milliseconds. It's probably doable to get a barely a sub 10 run. Okay, what just happened? One key factor, higher frames per second. On the 21st June 2024, moderators of the speedrun announced that they would allow 60, 120, 144 and 240 FPS runs, as Roblox updated their account so now people can run games more than 60 frames per second. I'm very good at obbies, which is 144 frames per second. This helps him do setups, long jumps easier, and optimize minor skips even further to achieve a 4 minute and 50 millisecond run, so close to the sub 4 minute mark. So will they be the first to do it? A player from Central America named EToH has already made history of holding and breaking records 3 times from the tower, but now he wants to make sure he'll hold the record for good now, ending the run at 3:59.180, the first sub 4 minute run. Later, Trinziv would be the second to have a sub 4 minute run, but a bit slower than Pinter's record. But looking at this leaderboard, who is the number 1 then? Was it Can 2005 again? Or was it JToH Box back at it again? Let's just say this player likes being mesmerizing.